Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. And today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a full-on step-by-step guide on how to successfully end up defeating the Arch-Illager and defeating the final boss in the last level of Minecraft Dungeons. If you end up enjoying this video and it does end up helping you out, please leave a like. It would tremendously mean a lot to me. That is, if you end up enjoying it, don't worry, I'm not going to spam you with the like thing. I just wanted to ask before you guys end up taking off and going right back to your game after you find out what you need. Anyways, I hope you end up enjoying, and let's begin with the tutorial. So, this is the thing with the tutorial, right? Is that in this game, as we know, if you happen to be watching this video, you already know how that this game works in terms of its loot. The loot in this game is sheerly random, and there's no guarantee that you will have what you might necessarily want, nor need, nor have what you prefer. Now, this does not require that you have a certain type of loot, but however though, if you can get the loot that I have, because I like to believe that I have the best loot in the game right now, because this consistently helps me do well, I recommend that you get this if you can, but you do not need it. It is just preferred. So I'm actually going to brush over that really quickly, so if you guys already have these, you can upgrade them and keep them, because you may or may not already have these. So this is what I recommend. If you happen to have these abilities, keep them, and if so, upgrade them. The first thing is the Heart Stealer Legendary Sword. The reason why I recommend this is because if you are doing your very first playthrough, you actually will only have a certain type of amount of loot, and that means that you should actually only have this type of sword really at this level. I don't expect you to have anything higher than this, so at this point in your game, this is your best sword. The reason why I recommend this is because it does anywhere from 110 to 195 melee damage, and it leeches the health off of the mobs. So if you kill an enemy, it gives you your health back. So you're being healed trying to fight, and it's not like it's a handicap to you. And it also does powerful pushback, so it also keeps them at distance, which means they cannot re-swing on you. It allows you to be able to poke and pry, so that way you don't have to worry about getting attacked in multiple hordes. This is a really good ability, and plus also as well, is when you want to do enchantments, you can end up getting, for example, Thundering, which actually allows you to shoot lightning out of the sky from this thing if you hit an enemy with it, and it allows you to actually end up doing really, really well, and I highly recommend it. And you can also end up getting your health back by also using it as well. This is a very good sword, and I highly recommend it. Now the next thing here is going to be the Guardian Bow. The Guardian Bow does 50 to 150 range damage, has strong charged attacks and supercharged arrows, which will allow you to end up being able to do the most damage for your level. That is something I recommend. It's not the rapid fire bow, so you actually only shoot so fast, but the rapid fire bow does not nearly have enough damage as this one. I highly recommend getting this if you can. Next thing also is the Soul Robe. The Soul Robe allows you to have 260 health if ideal, and you can also end up getting 100% souls gathered, and you can also get plus 50% on artifact damage. This will allow you to basically make your abilities stronger, and will also allow you to make it so that way if you have any abilities that are themed towards souls, it'll allow you to be able to get them instantly, which is also why I recommend these abilities, which is the Soul Healer first of all, because what this allows you to do is this allows you to get your health back, once again, another set per kill. So if you kill an enemy, their soul drops, you get it, and then therefore when you have enough souls, you hit X, and you just get your health back by in little chunks, and they can stack. So you can get 4 to 90 health back, and the cooldown is for 1 second, so you can just keep spamming and spamming and spamming this. The next thing is the Iron Hide Amulet. This gives you stronger defense. It's 9.7 second duration and a 25 second cooldown. This basically just gives you better defense boost for a short period of time. And this is for the end game right here. This is very important because it will allow you to do a lot better for your game here. Boots of Swiftness, so that way you can run fast in the final boss fight. Now, when you are facing bosses in this game, you will end up running into golems, you will end up running into evokers, and you of course have the final boss. What I would recommend that you would do is that you end up being careful. The way that this map actually plays out is there's checkpoints. For example, where I just went in through the door, and when I went from outside to inside, you actually can use those to your advantage. So for example, right here, I have an evoker. And the evoker here, even though I didn't use this strategy in this particular game, but I was using it before, and I once again recommend it to you, is that you do not have to stay in this room because you are in here now. If you are low on health, for example, and you do feel like you're getting pushed, what you can do is you can go back out that exit, for example, and the enemies do not follow you. But however, though, they don't gain their health back. So it's not like you're losing an opportunity to kill them. You're actually giving yourself a better opportunity to kill them. So if you do a lot of damage, then you're getting almost killed, and you do not want to lose a life, because I recommend that you do not lose lives if all possible. Go back, retreat. They will not follow you through that exit, for example, the one I just came in through. And then that way you can get your HP back, and they do not, and you can follow up on what you did. So it's almost like you're starting on them when they had lower health, which is fantastic for you, because in this particular part of the story, when you go into this room where the mansion is, you will either A, get evokers, or you will end up getting golems. You are better off getting golems because golems do not have nearly as good of a ranged attack. They are more of a melee style, and I recommend that if you end up getting a evoker, because they're tougher, to just spam them with arrows. An evoker needs more time to end up getting his abilities, yes, but if he can get them off, they do a lot of damage, and you do not want to end up having that happen. So do a damage with your bow, because it's faster than if you were trying to run at him with a melee weapon. Also, as a side note, if you are in this mansion, go this way, because there's a chest there that gives you food and arrows, and the other way is for potential bonus loot. In this map, in fact in this whole entire game, for example, there is no guaranteed one way to go, and I recommend going the area that actually has less enemies if possible, because you do not want to waste any of your arrows, for example. This is also a glitch, by the way, that I'm demonstrating here for you. When you have a golem boss fight like this, for example, if you get close enough where you can see his HP bar, but you stop, you can actually end up damaging him, but he will not attack you because his registration of where you are will not trigger yet. And if you don't get in his line of sight, but you at least get the health bar, your auto aim will just auto lock on at him, and so that way, even if you don't see him, you can actually do damage and kill him basically with ease. And I recommend doing that glitch for every single time you have a golem, so you do not miss shots trying to run away from him at the same time while you're shooting. It makes a big difference, trust me. Now, other than your loot, other than the fact that I've shown you also things such as glitches and strategies, the very important thing, the one thing that will define whether or not that your gameplay here is going to do the best, is that whether or not that you end up having the best focus. What do I mean by this? For me personally, and this is going to sound like a silly tip, but hear me out. When you are at the final boss stage right here, you do not get redos. There is no checkpoints, you only get lives in this game. In this game, you end up getting 4 attempts. You have 3 lives and then a last chance. So you get 4 good shots at this. But if you die, you lose all the progress and you start all over again. So if you're having a bad game, and for example, you only have like 1 life getting to, like, let's say the end boss fight here already because you lost your other 3 from golems or invokers, it's not necessarily a good gameplay. And instead of wasting your time risking it, I just recommend you cut your loss and start over, so that way you do not have to worry about it. Make sure you don't get pissed because you end up dying right away. I would actually make it so that way you're saving more time by just calling it quit early and going into this boss fight with the most amount of lives possible. In this boss fight, I actually believe I either only died once or I didn't die at all, so I had my most amount of lives. And this actually allowed me to do well, because you will see I will die here at least twice, and if I only had 1 or 2 lives, it would have been kaputs and I would have started over, because I did have to start this over multiple times. And as well, another thing that you also need to know is that any loot that you get through your first attempt does carry over. So for example, if you end up playing this mission and don't succeed the first time, but like let's say you get like a cool sword or you upgrade something, that carries over, and so you do not either A, want to delete it assuming that your stats are gone, or you also do not want to assume that everything just reset, because the loot does not reset, it is just the mission. Keep that in mind. Now, when you're going into this, you end up jumping on the piston, and this is the boss fight arena. There's 2 stages that you're going to have throughout this boss fight arena. So, for the Illager, or the Pillager, whatever you like to call him, he will spawn in here now, and he will be in this form. He will be in his short form, and he will allow himself to be able to spawn in mobs that will be able to shoot you. Now, his main Achilles heel is arrows. You should also as well try to stack as many arrows as humanly possible and only melee the enemies up to this point, so that way when you're in this boss fight, you can do a crap ton of damage to him. And what you want to do is you want to shoot him with arrows, avoid his abilities, and circle on the pistons. You do not have to stay in a specific area and try to tank anything or try to be all manly. You can actually finesse him and zoom around on these pistons. They are your friend. I highly recommend them. As well, other than using the pistons to get out of the way and just try to be careful, you want to make sure that you do not get in a pinch, because those purple abilities, those triangular balls that he shoots at you, do a crap ton of damage, and you may actually lose a life in the easy stage because his second form is the hardest form in the whole entire game at the hardest boss. And I would even like to believe that this is one of the hardest boss fights I've had in a while in gaming. It was a very fun boss fight, but a very challenging one at that. This is a tough one, and you want to make sure you're in the zone. Now, so once you end up getting your bow, once you end up getting your sword that you all want, that you end up once you basically have your god loot, right? And you've listened to the strategy and you've done everything I've told you, there is still one last thing that you need to keep in mind, and that is that you need to make sure that you are severely focused, like stupidly focused, and make sure that you are paying attention to the zone. Because what happens is that as soon as you kill him right here at this end boss fight right here in this first round, and you get rid of him in his little form, you will spawn in his next form. And the next form makes it where you have to be moving more than if you were camping more. This one you can kind of camp, right? You can just shoot arrows at a distance from him, pick and choose. But I recommend not only having either A, Boots of Swiftness, or actually, you know, I would say not only just Boots of Swiftness, but I also recommend that you just have any speed ability for that matter. Because what happens is that you end up getting this right here. You end up getting the Heart of Ender. It's a giant Enderman form that ends up having this freaky spire-like almost pose, actually. And what happens is that this ability is the thing that will get you killed the most. This triangular, you know, squarish shaped purple laser beam crap that he does. You do not want to get hit by this, because what happens is that this is the #1 most damaging ability to you in this boss fight. Because, for example, it gets me killed right here. I barely got nicked by it. Now, if you do die, he does still end up keeping the progress that you did do. You can end up going back in, and if you did a little bit of damage, that damage will still apply. But do not rush it. Do not underestimate him, because I also ran into this right away again, and I also got killed. The best strategy that you can do for this final part of the boss fight is that when you end up having him spin and do his laser tricks, or when he's trying to do his square ability and trap you, you do not want to attack. I repeat, you do not want to attack. You want to be patient. Get to the middle-ish part of the map. Do not go right up to him, and do not also pin yourself against the wall. You want to avoid him at all costs and be in middle ground range. And what you can do is, after he's done flinging his lasers, and after he's done flinging bombs at you, when he's teleporting and moving around the map, even though he may be moving, that is when you shoot. You shoot him during these stages. You try to line it up with him and hit him. And also, as a side tip, if you do happen to get hit by the laser, do not try to challenge it and run away from it. Go the opposite direction. It's better to take the hit and get it over with, because if you're trying to run away, it's typically usually faster than you, and you usually end up getting more damage trying to run away from it than if you were just to take it. And if you've done all these tips accordingly, you should end up getting to the final part right here, where you end up killing him and you have beaten him, and now you've gotten the final cutscene and won the game. If you ended up enjoying today's video, guys, and this tip ended up helping you out, and if you want to see more videos of Minecraft Dungeons, please show your tremendous support by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. And now I will leave you guys with the final cutscene. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, guys, and peace out. Oh, my throat.
The Arch-Illager, the enemy of the villagers, was defeated. Great heroes saved the day and vanquished evil. Thanks to you, all was well. Until it wasn't.